Hello, my friends. This is Lynda Lippin, and welcome to the Pilates Goddess podcast. The Pilates Goddess podcast is sponsored by Laird Superfoods. You've heard me talking about Laird Superfoods. Started by Laird Hamilton, the big wave surfer, of course, with his lovely wife, Gabby Reese. You know, Laird also loves his coffee the same way I love my coffee, and was really looking at a way of kind of supercharging his coffee so he didn't have to eat a lot in the morning, but could still have his caffeine, enjoy the coffee ritual, and then go out and enjoy himself without having to eat tons and tons of heavy food. He also wanted something creamy and yummy to help, elevate the whole experience of his first cup of coffee in the morning. And, I don't know if you've taken a look at some of the coffee creamer ingredients that are out there on the market, but they are not looking too pretty. And I don't know about you, but the whole concept of just adding like fat to my morning coffee kind of grosses me out. However, I do love my Laird Superfoods mocha creamer, which really is based in coconut oil. So now I have this great way of adding a non-GMO, completely natural, vegan, fat product into my morning coffee that makes it taste good, gives it that awesome creamy feeling, and gives me some lasting energy for my first clients of the day. So if you're ready to feel more energized, focused, and supported, go on over to lairdsuperfood.com/goddess and add nourishing plant-based foods to fuel you from sunrise to sunset. Use my promo code GODDESS at checkout and save 15% off your purchase today. Hello, everybody, and welcome back one more time to the Pilates Goddess podcast. This is your host, Lynda Lippin. So this morning, and it's currently Monday the 3rd, as I record this, by the way, in April. This morning, I did an interview that will be released later on with a friend and colleague of mine from when I worked in the Caribbean on the fantasy island of Parrot Key in Turks and Caicos. And something that came up repeatedly during the interview was treating our clients with care and compassion. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you have probably heard some other episodes that I've recorded about these themes, right? About caring for our clients, about compassionate teaching. But I'm bringing it up again, and I'm bringing it up again for you in a slightly different context. And the context that I'm really wrestling with right now is the large group Pilates classes that are coming up in basically every single country in the world right now. I'm going to, and note that I don't have anything intrinsically against a large Pilates class. Joseph Pilates taught large groups. You can see videos of him teaching large groups at Jacob's Pillow on YouTube. But there's a certain amount of experience and a certain eye and a certain comfort level that you have to have with the work in order to teach large groups. And also because of the current proliferation of Pilates studios, Pilates chains, big box gyms teaching Pilates, and now even independent studios that are coming up and mimicking some of the chains in terms of their, programming and how they're doing things. What I'm seeing is a lot of teachers who are not at all being taught about how to handle people and how to handle clients. As studios work to put bodies on reformers, and that's really what it's coming down to now. Even if you say buy a franchise and you think that that's going to be kind of an easy way to get into the Pilates game, right? Or the Pilates money-making machine, even those studios have very high overheads. First of all, you're paying a franchise fee, right? To use the name of whatever chain you're franchised by or from. Secondly, depending on where you are in the world or in the United States, you're paying a significant amount of rent because you still got to rent your space. You still have to have your apparatus. You still have to have your locker rooms. You still have to have your front desk. You still have to have your booking software. You most likely are going to have a small retail area out front where people can, buy sticky socks and branded clothing. You still have lots and lots of business expenses going in up front. So when folks are opening these studios, even if they are working with a group that does their own teacher training in-house, they're still looking for more and more teachers because without Pilates teachers, you're not serving anybody. But the things that I'm starting to notice online in both consumer groups, concerns, complaints, and Pilates teacher group concerns and complaints. So I'm going to start off with what I've been hearing on Facebook and on Reddit and different places from Pilates clients, current clients, people considering going to Pilates, and their concerns and how those concerns are being addressed by other teachers online. Okay, that's where we're going to start this talk. So first of all, people aren't really sure still what Pilates is. They're not sure if Pilates is just mat, if it's just mat and reformer, if TRX is part of Pilates, if Bozu and ball are part of Pilates. They don't know that there might be other Pilates apparatus. And sometimes, depending on where in the country you are, you only have access to, say, a large chain studio, and that's okay. I mean, in reality, Joseph Pilates wanted his work to be spread and proliferated as widely as possible. So in many ways, the current market as it sits for Pilates is kind of what the man wanted. Okay, he wanted people to, I think whether they knew it was his exercises or not, to be doing the work and to be doing the work on the equipment and to be doing the work to feel and function as best they could. But that client confusion is becoming an issue. So first, I'm seeing folks who are just scared. They're scared of going into a Pilates studio and feeling like an idiot. They're scared that they're going to hurt themselves on the reformer. They are scared that they're not going to know quite what they're doing and other people are going to look at them and laugh. They're scared that the teacher might pay too much attention to them or too little attention to them. And they're also, for people who have already started going, even more concerns. I saw a post the other day where a client said, why are teachers no longer correcting people in their classes? I'm going to say that again. Why are Pilates teachers no longer correcting people in their classes? And the answers to that question were very interesting and very illuminating. So the first answers kind of came from Pilates teachers who were really upset by that, right? What do you mean? We always correct. We always cue. And, sometimes we correct and cue and people don't listen to us. And sometimes we correct and cue and people do whatever they want anyway. So we were just taught, say the correction 3 times, and if nobody does it, just move the hell on. But then people started to list some of the cues that they were giving clients in larger group classes. And some of them were, when you're on the long box, make sure you keep your heels together. Which, is not necessarily a great cue if you're working with people who have lower back pain, because that can add to lower back pressure. And really the first modification you would want to make in that position, if you have lower back pain, is separating your fucking heels. And then people started saying, well, if you weren't looking at what everybody else was doing, then you could just focus on your own work and your own corrections and not worry about it. And as I started seeing this theme of the teachers coming down on the clients for not listening or for not looking or for not paying any kind of attention, I started reading through some other threads and some other questions that people had. And people were asking, is it normal for teachers not to touch anybody in class? Is it normal for my neck to be hurting in class? When I ask in the studio, they tell me that neck pain can in fact be part of the process of Pilates. And they tell me to tuck my neck in. And I have no idea what that means. I do have an episode early in this podcast called Cues Pilates Teachers Shouldn't Use. And whether you are a Pilates teacher or a client, I highly recommend that you listen to that episode. I will put a link to it in the show notes. But it explains why some cues, frankly, are just shitty cues. Like you're just giving people cues they couldn't do if they wanted to. And you're giving people cues that could potentially compress them and hurt them and make them not want to come back. And it's not like these classes are cheap, right? So if you're thinking, well, these people are going into these like 12-person reformer classes because they want to save money. Quite frankly, here in New York City, you're going into that 12-person class paying anywhere between $30 and $45 for that hour for that class, whether you're dealing with a package or paying per time as a drop-in. So I don't consider that a cheap class. You want to do Pilates 3 times a week in a large group class in a chain studio, you are spending still $400 to $500 a month. Okay, a month on that work. And for most people, that is a shit ton of money. Okay, that is a lot of money to be spending. There's also the fact that most teachers aren't taught to teach these large group classes. Okay? We're usually, when we're in our teacher training, we're taught to teach privates and maybe some group mat classes and maybe some small reformer classes or some small tower classes. And then suddenly you're walking into a 12-person class where you don't really know everyone's background and history, where you have all kinds of bodies. And sure, the classes might be leveled, you're level 1 or you're level 1.5 or you're level 2 or whatever the hell it is. And, you might know a little bit about the injury history, but there's only so much you can expect out of one human being trying to keep 12 people safe and give them a decent workout on a reformer. Now, I can do that, but I've been teaching for close to 35 years. I don't know if I could have done that early in my teaching career and made that really viable and made that really safe for most clients. And then I started poking around Pilates teacher forums, and I'm seeing a lot of those same issues and those same questions. People are coming into classes because they've been told that Pilates will help them. People are coming into large group classes or even apprentice sessions. That's right, working with somebody is a trainee and is new. They are coming in with hip replacements. They are coming in with disc herniations. They are coming in with neck and shoulder pain. They are coming in with knee issues. They are coming in with all the things that human beings get in their bodies as they move and as they age and as they do things. And because there are now so many studios and there are so many people who want to do Pilates, and we're moving towards these bigger and bigger group classes, and we're moving towards younger and younger and newer teachers that are teaching these classes and that are teaching these people, there is becoming a wider and wider gap between teaching Pilates and actually knowing and caring and giving a shit about our clients as more than just people who are taking up space in the studio to give us money. Now, I understand that what I do is definitely a transactional relationship. And I'm okay with that. And I'm partly okay with that because I charge a lot for what I do. And I charge a lot for what I do because I'm really good at it. But for any studio or any teacher training program to set up any kind of situation where the teacher and the client are put in an adversarial relationship versus a relationship of compassion and caring is just wrong. Okay? It is just fucking wrong. So first, let's talk a little bit about the people coming in. Okay? Let's just think about your clients for a second. Or if you are a client and you have, experienced negativity or a weird experience in a studio and felt judged by staff or by teachers in any way. And I'm sorry if you've been through that. I want you to think about the fact that when people, and especially people in physical pain and physical injury, come into a Pilates studio, they are entrusting you as their teacher with their body. They are entrusting you as their teacher with their health. They are entrusting you with their spine. They are entrusting you with their neck. They are coming in and basically allowing you to tell them what to do because you are positioned as a trained professional who can help them. Now, I understand that you may be in a teacher training program or you may be in a studio that doesn't foster that understanding. I understand that you may be teaching in a place where they just want to get as many fucking bodies in on those reformers as humanly possible to pay the franchise fees and the rent. I get it. But also understand that when those people are with you in that 45 minutes or in that hour, they are entrusting you with their well-being and their care. And you don't know what's going on in their lives. Your life might suck. I've been teaching Pilates for 35 years. Let me tell you something, my friends. My life has sucked while I've been teaching. But you can't let your suck become your client's suck, because I can guarantee you that if you allow your suck to become your client's suck, they are going to be in pain. They are not going to have a good experience, and they are either not going to come back or they're going to go to a different teacher. And sometimes they're just going to stop doing Pilates altogether because they had such a lousy experience. It's also a matter of understanding what the important cues, what the important corrections are, what exactly the body is doing in these exercises, so that you don't pay attention to the stupid shit, okay? I'm telling you right now, if somebody's on the long box doing, pull straps and their heels come apart, they're going to be just fine. But if they're on the long box doing pull straps and their shoulders are rounding and they're pulling up everything out of their lower backs, they're going to end up in pain. So you can stand there and give them the cue that you think they should have from the perfect body all day. And frankly, hopefully they won't listen to you when you give them that cue. And I'm not blaming actually the Pilates instructors. I think that right now Pilates really is at a crossroads. I really do. And I think that in many ways, the Pilates industry, as it's grown, is setting a lot of teachers up to fail. And it's setting a lot of clients up to fail. Because movement, number one, is not that complex. Movement is pretty simple. If you just look at the movements that the human body can do in terms of spine movements, in terms of limb movements, there's only certain ways we can move, certain ways we can go, and we can do it in different relationships to gravity and resistance. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. And quite frankly, if you look at, say, the series of Pilates exercises, you can skip things in the series. You can do things that on that day at that time might be more appropriate for your clients. But, if you're an apprentice or a new teacher and you've come out of a teacher training program and you don't understand the difference between an open chain and a closed chain exercise, or you don't understand how to strengthen the lats or the latissimus dorsi in a Pilates studio, or which exercises might do that, there's a big problem there. And the problem isn't necessarily yours. The problem really is the people who trained you. Teachers need answers to their questions. Teachers need support. Clients need answers to their questions. Clients need support. Okay? Everybody in this scenario needs something, needs some kind of help, needs some kind of communication. But if you don't start from a place of compassion and a place of care and a place of remembering that people are trusting you with their fucking spines, my friends, like, it is a big deal. Now, this really came up for me today because when I worked at Parrot Key and Turks and Caicos, I worked with a lot of extremely famous and extremely powerful humans. And these people were spending a lot of money to get away. And there was an assumption that they made that the people working for the spa and for the hotel, who were handling everything from their food to their boat rides, to their taking care of their children, to doing their Pilates sessions and their yoga sessions and their massages and whatever other treatments they were doing. There was an assumption that we all knew what we were doing, that we would do it well, and that we wouldn't hurt them. Okay? I worked with royalty. I worked with high up US government officials. I worked with celebrities who were in between movies. I worked with all kinds of folks who really couldn't afford to be hurt, who couldn't afford to be injured. I worked with professional athletes who had to leave their vacations and get back in and play on the field, who were there to feel and function better. Okay? My whole approach to all of these people had to be one of care and compassion for how they were feeling, for how they wanted to feel, and for what they needed to do in their lives and their bodies when they weren't with me and back in the real world. Now, for you guys who are teaching in studios and especially in chain studios or taking Pilates in these studios, you're in that real world. And in this real world, everything is stressful. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have. Everything is still stressful. And what folks are looking for in their fitness, in their Pilates, in their workouts, whether they are spending $180 an hour to work with somebody like me, whether they are spending $45 or $30 an hour to take a group class someplace, they are looking for that care and compassion, or at least a safe and decent workout that will help them feel better and get them where they need to go. And this, my friends, is what is important. This is what we cannot lose sight of as Pilates teachers, no matter what happens in the industry. And if this is not something that you were taught, or this was not something that comes naturally to you, there are lots of resources out there who can help. Okay? Come into my Pilates Teacher Mastermind. In my Pilates Teacher Mastermind free group on Facebook, there is tons of information on this. In my Pilates Teacher Mastermind VIP group, which is a whopping $47 a month, you get more of this. Okay? Not only more continuing education, but more of this. The fact of the matter is I don't care whether you're classical. I don't care whether you're contemporary. I don't give a shit how long you've been teaching. I want everybody teaching Pilates to feel good about what they're doing, to understand how to approach their clients with care and compassion, to have their clients leave feeling better and loving the work. This is not the time to be bitching about our clients, to be questioning whether, they listen, to complain about them. This is the time to hear what they are saying and to address their needs. And I promise you that the more you do this and the more that you create a space of caring and compassion around your Pilates teaching, the better it's going to feel for you and the better experience all of your clients are going to have. And if you are currently in a situation where you can't do that, because it literally feels, the whole environment of where you're working just feels so shitty to you that you can't deal, then I really recommend that you leave that environment and find a different position. Go to a different studio. Find a different way. Or find somebody like me who you can talk to about these things and who will give you some real answers. The issue right now isn't classical or contemporary. The issue right now isn't private versus group. The issue right now is whether we are just barking Pilates orders at random clients in a studio who we don't care about except for the fact that we're getting paid, or whether we are approaching the people who come to us with care, with compassion, and with understanding to help them feel better and move forward in a way that benefits them. And because now they're happy and they'll keep coming back, also benefits us and the studios that we work for. So I know I might have sounded a little harsh today, guys. And I'm feeling a little harsh today on a variety of levels. But the care and compassion, the understanding, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what's happening in somebody's life when they come in to see you or into your studio. I personally am in a place now emotionally that if I walked into a Pilates studio to take a class and somebody started yelling at me about keeping my fucking heels together on the long box, I would lose my shit and storm out. Just letting you know. Am I always like this? No. Am I like this today? Yes. So understand that you might not be always getting somebody at their best, but if they were always at their best, they wouldn't necessarily be coming to Pilates, right? So guys, I love you. And I love the fact that you listen to the podcast. And I am so thrilled for you all to be here. So thank you, as always, for listening, for showing up for me. If you would like to help support me a little bit more, go on over to ko-fi.com. That's ko/fi.com/Lynda Lippin Pilates. Give me a little shout out. You can buy me a coffee. You can do a subscription and get some free classes and other things in exchange for your support. And as always, if you would give me a rating and a written review on the Apple Podcasts app, on Spotify, or on Podchaser, I would, of course, deeply appreciate that as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or evening whenever you're listening to this, and I will be back with you soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Music brought to you by Nerd Salad. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, especially if you liked it. And please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks.